So we're just going to have a bit of a rummage through the IED ideas bin for this video. We frequently end up with a whole load of song ideas that we can't use, or nothing comes of them, usually because it's attached to some news story that by the time we can get anywhere with it, the story is no longer relevant. Or something bigger comes along, or we just can't figure out how to make a decent idea out of it. So we're just going to have a look at some of the bits of news that caught our eye.
So this is topical for like months ago?
Yes, or even years ago.
Yeah, I mean, yes, because YouTube and the future and everything.
Yeah.
Hello, the future.
Hello, the future.
We're sorry.
Yeah, it's our fault.
It wasn't us. We didn't. Well, we did some of it, but really awful stuff. We didn't do that, especially that
thing. We definitely
thing.
didn't do that. That
thing.
was not
we
us.
were totally against that thing.
Yeah, we campaigned and everything.
Yeah.
We sent an email. Nobody answered.
The other thing that turned out really well. We were really in favour of that.
Yeah. Yeah. We gave money to Kickstarter for it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. The first one, you picked this one.
Yes.
You found this.
Yes.
It's a news article of a musician who's suffered serious kind of hearing injury.
He was a viola player.
He was a viola player.
They made him sit next to the trumpets.
Yes.
And the trombones.
And
never sit near the brass section.
Yeah, he's won a High Court judgment against the Royal Opera House because they've knackered his hearing. And you picked this out because you thought it was sort of somewhat goes against this established notion of the older generation that you young kids listening to your heavy metals are going to make you all deaf. Well, it turns out that now classical music will make you deaf as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was going to say bang goes that argument. I think it's more that that pretty much anything that you listen to at a volume above kind of whisper quiet will ruin your hearing.
What?
But I think sorry, it was a quarter to 7, I think.
Yeah, okay.
But there's
So we're looking at
there's always this idea that
heavy metal gives you brain damage.
Yes.
Because it's loud and it's noisy and
I think
bad for you.
it just shows that basically everybody who says kind of like, oh, it's too loud, turn it down, it misses the point.
Also, anybody who says if it's too loud, you're too old, misses the point.
Well, there is that as well, because I know
Have
plenty.
you heard Beethoven? It's heavy as fuck. Oh no, you can't say fuck on the YouTube because
We can say fuck on YouTube. We've said
but
it
they
quite a lot.
demonetise you, not that
They demonetised us anyway.
Have
Ages ago.
I thought they demonetised some of them.
No, they demonetised everybody who's got less than 4,000 minutes view time and less than 1,000 subscribers. That's now the prerequisite for getting money. Yeah, it's Logan Paul's fault. Apparently, basically, if you film a dead guy hanging in a tree, the best solution to this problem is not actually punish him, but basically punish the smaller YouTubers.
Yay!
So
So fuck
We've just
Logan, what's his face?
We've just
That
gone
guy. Fuck that guy.
first article and we've gone off on a tangent.
Excellent. So anyway, heavy metal. We were right. We made the right choice.
Yeah.
I had tinnitus already, so it's fine.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I think they always miss the point anyway. They're sort of like, you know, kind of like, oh, we should be quiet. No, it's like no.
No.
It's like it's just like, I mean, you listen to something like Beethoven. It's like, why would you have that quiet? That's the kind of thing that you have when you're trying to invade somewhere. You have that pumped up as loud as possible.
Yeah, he was basically making music for Napoleon to invade people with, and he went deaf, and those things are true, look them up.
Now on Radio 3 we present an evening dedicated to an artist that many consider to be hugely influential, perhaps even a crucial exponent of the genre. And we open the proceedings with an impeccable rendering of one of their most celebrated pieces. This is Lawnmower Death's Satan's Trampoline. A waiter in Vancouver.
Yes, who was fired for being too rude to customers.
Yeah. He's claiming discrimination.
Because he said he wasn't rude, he was just French. And that triggered off some debate about, are the French rude?
Yeah, I mean that should dismiss the case pretty much straight away, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I'm not rude, I'm French. Oh, off you go.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
We know what you like.
Yes. Yeah. But then, you know, we wanted to have some balance, so we did phone up the French consulate and asked them if they were rude, and they told us to fuck off.
I don't know if that was the actual word they used. I think they were talking about boiling your bottom, sons of a silly person. And they said that if we kept ringing them, they'd taunt us a second time.
I'm sorry, we had to. You can do the accent.
Come on, you do a story about a French being rude, you've got to do the Monty Python bit. It's pretty much the law.
It is the law.
If you're really lazy, like we are. I don't know if we actually had much of a song idea of that. Probably other.
No, that was probably the whole joke that we had.
That was probably going to be just 3 minutes of us singing "Go and boil your bottom, son of a silly person."
Maybe to the tune of the Marseillaise.
Yeah. I don't know if we could get sort of references to elderberries. I don't know what the phrasing would be like.
Elderberries, your mother smells of elderberries. Yeah, that would work.
Well, yeah, almost. Yeah. Go and boil your bottoms.
You son of a silly.
Needs work. This is why we didn't finish it. See, I do wonder sometimes whether you actually get any work done because you keep finding all of these during the day. Then again, you kind of have to sort of go around on the internet a lot looking for sort of new, relevant information. And this one's probably relevant in that it's technology.
I was wondering if you're actually recording that because I want to say, yes, I do enormous amounts of work. I do loads and loads of work.
Absolutely.
And actually, a lot of the work that I do, segue, it's in Scotland because I travel to Scotland all the time.
Yeah, you'll find out in a minute just how ham-fisted that link was. I think you were looking around as part of work for actual technology related news, this, that and the other, and you came across
to do with Scotland. Yes.
To do with Scotland, and you came across this in the Daily Record. Yeah, I think you slipped that one by, don't worry. This was from Scotland, as we said, which is obviously where they have all the haggis flavoured shortbread and deep fried heroin.
Sorry. Lucky till you tried it.
I love battered Mars bars. I do. I've tried them.
Have you had a battered Mars bar?
I had a battered Mars bar. It was.
And you did actually eat it.
It was surprisingly good. But I think they need to kind of scale back the deep frying stuff just a bit. And then they might live into their 40s one day.
Or at least just deep fry once.
Yeah.
Don't have the fish and chips and Scottish Premier and they're great everywhere else. But
yeah. This was a robot hired by a supermarket was sacked because it couldn't understand people. Which, I mean, come on, you don't test out your voice recognition in Scotland.
In the shop?
No.
It was a supermarket, I say.
It was a supermarket, yeah. And you don't test it out there. Scotland is where you kind of when you've tested it everywhere else in the world, where people can actually have accents that aren't fundamentally impenetrable. You test it in Scotland, that's your your gold standard on the product at the end. Is kind of this voice recognition software is so good it even understands the Scots.
And we do actually like Scotland. We're not
no, we do.
Scotland.
We do. We just kind of play.
Yeah,
it's a lovely place.
Yeah, I mean, I would really. Yeah, I go there a lot. I'm kind of looking forward for climate change, so it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, that'd be great. And it might brighten up a little bit. And then that way the the most orange thing they have won't be Scotch eggs and iron brew. It'll be the sun in the sky.
Or when Donald Trump comes for a visit.
Oh no, he won't. He won't go for a visit to Scotland. They hate him there more than anywhere else in the world, and quite rightly so.
Go Scotland!
Yeah. But it's kind of why would you try out your intelligent sort of voice recognition robot in a Scottish supermarket? It just, no. I mean, I think
Jimmy, where's the iron brew?
Yes.
The new.
Dear oh dear.
I do not understand the thing you just said. I'm fluent in 3 million forms of communication. I can even speak teddy bear. I'm great at impressions.
That is an absolutely stunning impression of Leonard Rossiter. That's just fantastic.
Thank you very much.
I think you were obviously trying to go for C-3PO, who sounds very soft and camp and English and gay. I am C3CU.
Jimmy.
Fluent in at least one form of communication, or 2 if you count headbutting.
Being headbutted by a droid would actually hurt though.
That would really hurt, and it would make a brilliant clonk noise.
Yeah.
So if you're ever going to get headbutted by a droid, do us a favour and sample it.
Yeah.
Because we might find a use for it.
Use it as a drum sound.
This one's fairly close to home. This was in Exeter.
Yeah. Yarp. Just up the road from us.
Yep. This was in a branch of Poundland. So we're really...
Stay classy, guys.
Absolutely, we're well into West Country territory here.
Yarp. I'm going to keep saying yarp.
Somebody decided to go into the Exeter branch of Poundland and spray household cleaning products on the picking mix. Picking mix? Pick and mix.
Pick and mix. The pick and mix.
Yes.
And it was quite soon after that. Definitely wasn't the Russians.
Definitely wasn't the Russians. Definitely not poisoning that Russian bloke who definitely
poisoned and
that former spy.
Yeah.
And they definitely don't have a track record of that throughout history.
So there was a bit of a panic because obviously straight after attacking alleged ex-spies in alleged Salisbury, allegedly, they're going to turn up like the whatever the.
They're going to expand their campaign of retaliation.
What's the thing that used to be the KGB called now?
Vladimir Putin.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Vladimir Putin going to turn up and spray some. That'd be funny if it was actually Vlad though. Can you imagine? He's like, I got my Mr. Muscle.
Yeah. Oh, rainbow drops, get the silage bang on that.
Bang, and the spy is gone. I'm Vladdy Scott.
I'm Vladdy Scott.
Do you remember the earlier Sillet Bang adverts where they had a different Barry Scott?
See, maybe I reckon Barry Scott's going to be like James Bond. I reckon in 50 years' time,
we'll still have a Barry Scott.
We're still going to have a Barry Scott, but it's going to be a different bloke, and there would have been different ones
in between.
Throughout.
There would have been one who was really unpopular.
Yeah.
And was just Barry Scott once, and they brought back the first Barry Scott.
Yeah.
And then there was one who was.
And then there'll be one who plays Barry Scott far too old.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a.
There'll be the gritty reboot Barry Scott.
Gritty reboot Barry Scott, and basically he'll do like 2 movies, and actually they'll be kind of better than everybody remembers, and he'll then just like go off and do other stuff. And then there'll be a Barry Scott that is just, well, not brilliant. I was going to say this analogy started to fall apart.
Barry Scott's in a muddle.
Yeah,
I thought I'm thinking the gritty reboot Barry Scott is Daniel Craig.
Oh right, I was going to say
you were thinking of somebody else.
I was thinking of Timothy Dalton as the initial gritty reboot because he
forgot about that.
He was done slightly grittier, wasn't it?
Said it bang.
There you go. Yeah, see, gritty no more.
Bang, and the grit is gone.
Along with your career for 10 years. But why a pick and mix? Why an Exeter Poundland?
Of all the places.
It's just what? What?
Yeah.
It's just like, even if you're just like some knob end of a Saturday messing around, it's like in the same way that teenagers do. It's kind of like, oh yeah, we'll hang outside John Menzies like all day. It's like, oh, we'll just like do graffiti and shit. It's like, oh, we'll just kind of like nick some pick and mix. Oh no, I've got a better idea. Let's spray it with some Mr. Muscle. Okay.
Also, that means they
can't quite understand your long-term goal here.
Spreading mayhem. Some people just want the world to watch the world get a bit sticky.
Well, that's an entirely different story. Yeah, everybody knows about this one. Rocketman.
We don't mean
Elton John.
No,
we don't mean Kim Jong Un.
I couldn't remember which Kim Jong it was.
The living one.
Yeah, I can't remember if he's or the rap one.
Kim Jong Il.
Yeah.
Ill as in sick.
Yeah. He was like ill.
Kim Jong sick in it. No, this was Mad Mike Hughes. He referred to himself, mad being the operative fucking word. I think the best way to describe him was a shed-based idiot who wanted to build a rocket to prove the Earth was flat.
Now, I can see any number of flaws.
Yes.
Like, the Earth's not flat.
No. No, that's it. That is...
Like, go up in a plane
You'd need a high altitude. You need to be a high altitude plane.
How high did his rocket get?
1,800 feet.
How high does a plane go?
Most planes cruise at about 30,000 feet.
That's kind of what I thought.
But to fairly guarantee that you're going to see the curvature of the Earth beyond any reasonable doubt, you want to probably be going over 60,000.
Although it was definitely, I mean, I've been on a plane.
Yeah.
Scotland.
I mean, you will see.
Even Flyby, you can still see a bit of a.
Yeah. Yeah, but to settle those doubts, those nagging doubts that the flat earthers have, and by nagging doubts I mean pitiful delusions, you probably want to go up as high as you can. I mean, ultimately, if he wants to actually prove the Earth is flat by blowing himself up, then I'm all for it. But I think there is a far better way for them to prove their point, and that is go to the edge and take a picture. Go on, off your fuck, go to the edge, right? Peer over the edge into the blackness of space and take us a picture. No excuses. I've had arguments with idiots on Twitter over this. I've had people basically tell me, oh, we can't get to the edge, they won't let us. It's guarded. It's like, who's guarding the edge of the Earth? It's like, how many people would you need to employ to guard the entire circumference of a flat Earth? You're talking, you know, if it, you know, about 24,000 miles.
Yeah, that's around the equator, isn't it? So,
well, no, 24,000 miles is the circumference. So assuming that it's flat, right,
so
but still a disc,
so
it would be.
But don't they reckon that it kind of actually sort of goes down? It kind of is completely flattened out. So you've got Australia and all the things that.
Everything, yeah, everything's flat, but so basically it's a big round disc.
So that would be like the diameter of the disc.
Either way, you would
radius.
need. Yeah, either way you would need.
You'd need a lot of people. That would be a big surface area.
That would be huge. You'd need.
Maybe that's why they put the ice.
Hundreds of thousands, maybe a couple of million people, to adequately guard the edge. And it's like, and who's paying for them? Who's employing them? Do these people ever actually have time off? Do they go home at the weekend? It's like, what have you been doing? Can't tell you. It's a secret. NASA's paying us to keep the existence of a flat Earth a secret.
Also, I'm just trying to think of a joke about having to guard the edge because Bono's really annoyed with him, but I haven't got enough to work with. I haven't got enough time because we're making this up as we go along. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so make your own one.
Yeah. Make your own edge joke.
Yeah. But yeah.
Stick it in the comments actually if you've got a better edge joke than the one we didn't do.
Whoa.
I'm the flat earth spaceman, baby, here's what I found. The earth is fucking round, just like all those scientists keep saying it is, with their several thousand years of accumulated evidence, observations, measurements and countless papers in peer-reviewed journals.